One desperate knock on a stranger's door changed everything. But it wasn't the dramatic rescue that transformed their lives. It was everything that came after. The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday night. Tom sat in his small apartment, typing away on his laptop. The sound of raindrops hitting his window made him feel even more alone than usual. It had been 3 months since his divorce was finalized, and he still wasn't used to the silence. He was working on a story he'd been writing for weeks. Writing helped him forget about everything else. The empty apartment, the quiet evenings, the way his life had completely changed. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he kept sipping it anyway. Then came the knocking. Not the gentle tap of someone being polite, but urgent, desperate knocking that made his heart jump. He looked at the clock on his laptop. 9:15 at night. Who could that be? Tom got up and walked to the door, his socks sliding a bit on the wooden floor. He looked through the peephole and saw Lisa from apartment 4B. She lived just down the hall, and they'd talked a few times while getting their mail or waiting for the elevator. She seemed nice enough, always smiled and asked how his day was going. But right now, she looked terrible. Her hair was soaking wet and stuck to her face. Even through the small peephole, he could see she was shaking. Her clothes were completely drenched, and she was holding her arms around herself, trying to stay warm. Tom quickly unlocked his door and opened it. The cold air from the hallway hit him immediately. Lisa looked up at him with eyes that seemed desperate and scared. "Please," she said, her voice shaking as much as her body. "I need help." Before he could even respond, she stepped inside his apartment. Water dripped from her clothes onto his floor, making small puddles. She was shivering so hard she could barely stand still. "Lisa, what happened?" Tom asked, closing the door behind her. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she started taking off her wet jacket. Her fingers were so cold and stiff that she could barely work the zipper. Tom watched, not sure what to do. Should he help her? Should he give her space? The jacket fell to the floor with a wet thud. Then she pulled off her sweater. It was just as soaked as everything else. Her thin shirt underneath was wet too, and he could see she was freezing. Her lips had a slight blue tint to them. "I'm so cold," she whispered, wrapping her arms around herself again. Without thinking about it, Tom stepped toward her. She immediately moved closer to him, pressing herself against his chest. Her whole body was ice cold, and he could feel her shaking against him. It wasn't romantic or strange. It was just one human being trying to get warm, and another human being trying to help. Tom wrapped his arms around her, trying to share his body heat. She felt so small and fragile in that moment. He could feel her heart beating fast against his chest. "What happened to you?" he asked softly. "Locked out," she managed to say between chattering teeth. "Been walking around for over an hour. My keys? I think I dropped them somewhere. My phone died. Couldn't get help." Tom understood immediately. She'd been stuck outside in this freezing rain with nowhere to go. No wonder she was in such bad shape. He'd seen people get hypothermia from less than this. "Okay, we need to get you warm right now," Tom said. He guided her toward his couch, keeping his arms around her. "Sit down. I'll get some blankets." He grabbed every blanket he had from his bedroom and the closet. His apartment wasn't fancy, but he had plenty of warm things. He wrapped the first blanket around her shoulders, then added another one. Lisa was still shaking, but not as badly as before. Some color was starting to come back to her face. "Better?" Tom asked. She nodded, pulling the blankets tighter around herself. "Thank you. I didn't know where else to go. I tried Mrs. Chen's apartment, but she wasn't home. The Martinez family wasn't answering their door either." "You did the right thing coming here," Tom said. "Let me make you some hot tea." While the water was heating up, Tom looked back at Lisa on his couch. She looked so different from the confident woman he'd seen in the hallway. Usually she was always put together, always seemed like she had everything under control. Tonight she looked vulnerable and scared. He brought her the tea, and she wrapped her cold fingers around the warm mug. The first sip made her close her eyes and sigh with relief. I feel so stupid, she said after a few minutes. I was coming home from the grocery store and I couldn't find my keys. I looked everywhere. Then it started raining harder and I couldn't get inside the building. The main door wouldn't open without the key card. That's not stupid at all, Tom said, sitting down on the other end of the couch. That could happen to anyone. I kept walking around the building, thinking I'd find another way in, but everything was locked up tight. And my phone battery died, right when I tried to call the building manager. Tom could see how frustrated she was with herself, but all he could think about was how dangerous it had been for her to be out there so long in this weather. The important thing is you're safe, now, he said. We'll figure everything else out tomorrow. Lisa looked at him with grateful eyes. I don't know how to thank you. I was getting so scared out there. I could barely think straight by the time I got to your door. You don't need to thank me, Tom said. This is what neighbors do for each other. As they sat there, both of them started to relax a little. The apartment was warm and quiet, except for the rain still hitting the windows. Lisa had stopped shaking completely now, and the color had returned to her face. I always see you writing, she said, nodding toward his laptop on the kitchen table. What kind of stories do you write? Tom smiled a little. Nothing too exciting. Just stories about regular people and the things that happen to them. Like tonight? Lisa asked. Yeah, kind of like tonight. They both smiled at that. Sometimes real life was stranger than any story you could make up. An hour ago, Tom had been alone in his apartment feeling sorry for himself. Now he had company, and he was actually helping someone who really needed it. It felt good to be needed. It felt good to be useful. For the first time in months, Tom wasn't thinking about his divorce or how lonely he'd been feeling. He was focused on making sure Lisa was okay. You can stay here tonight, Tom said. The couch is pretty comfortable, and in the morning we'll call the building manager and get you new keys. Lisa's eyes filled with tears, but they were good tears this time. You're so kind. I don't know what I would have done if you weren't home. Don't worry about it, Tom said. Just get some rest. But neither of them seemed ready to sleep just yet. There was something about the night, about the unexpected way they'd ended up together, that made them both want to keep talking. Outside, the rain kept falling. But inside, two neighbors were discovering they had more in common than they'd ever imagined. The morning sun came through Tom's apartment windows, making everything look golden and warm. Lisa was still sleeping on the couch, wrapped up in all those blankets like a cocoon. Tom had been awake for about an hour, trying to be quiet as he made coffee and checked his emails. When Lisa finally woke up, she looked around for a moment, confused about where she was. Then she remembered everything that had happened the night before. Her cheeks turned red with embarrassment. Oh my goodness, she said, sitting up quickly. I'm so sorry. I can't believe I just barged into your apartment like that. Tom looked up from his laptop and smiled. Don't apologize, you were freezing. You did exactly what you needed to do. Lisa ran her fingers through her messy hair. But still, I must have looked crazy. Walking in here, taking off my wet clothes, pressing myself against you like that. What must you think of me? I think you're smart, Tom said, pouring her a cup of coffee. You recognized an emergency and you got help. That takes courage. Lisa accepted the coffee gratefully. The warm mug felt good in her hands, just like it had the night before. I was so scared out there. I've never been that cold in my life. My brain wasn't working right. I couldn't even remember which apartment numbers my neighbors lived in. That's what happens when your body temperature drops, Tom said, sitting down across from her. Your thinking gets fuzzy. It's actually pretty dangerous. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, drinking their coffee and listening to the birds outside. The storm had passed and it was going to be a beautiful day. I should call the building manager, Lisa said. And I need to figure out what happened to my keys. We can do that, Tom said. But first, tell me something. How long have you been struggling? Lisa looked surprised. What do you mean? Last night, when you were talking, you seemed like you had a lot on your mind. More than just being locked out. Lisa was quiet for a long time. She stared into her coffee cup, thinking about whether she wanted to share something so personal with someone she barely knew. but something about the way Tom had taken care of her made her feel safe. "I lost my job 3 weeks ago," she finally said. "The company I worked for had to make budget cuts. They let go of 12 people, and I was one of them." Tom nodded, encouraging her to continue. "I've been trying to find something new, but it's harder than I thought it would be. I have enough savings to last a few more weeks, but after that..." She shrugged. "I don't know what I'm going to do." "Have you told anyone else about this?" Tom asked. "No," Lisa said quickly. "I don't want people to worry about me, and I don't want anyone to think I can't take care of myself. I've always been the one who has everything together, you know? Help other people with their problems. I don't have problems of my own." Tom understood that feeling completely. "After my divorce, I felt the same way. I didn't want anyone to know how much I was struggling. I thought if I just kept quiet about it, maybe it would go away." "Did it work?" Lisa asked. "Not really," Tom said with a small laugh. "Mostly, I just got lonelier." Lisa looked at him with new interest. "I didn't know you were divorced. I always see you around the building, but you seem so, I don't know, put together." "That's funny," Tom said. "That's exactly what I thought about you." They both started laughing at that. Here they were, two people who had been living down the hall from each other for over a year, both thinking the other person had a perfect life. "The truth is," Tom continued, "I've been pretty miserable for the past few months. I come home from work, I write a little bit, and then I just sit here by myself. I order takeout, watch TV, and go to bed. That's about it." "That sounds like my life too," Lisa said, "except I don't have work to go to anymore." "What kind of work did you do?" Tom asked. "Marketing for a small tech company. I actually loved the job. I was good at it too. But when they had to choose who to keep and who to let go, I was one of the newer employees." Tom could hear the disappointment in her voice. It wasn't just about losing income. It was about losing something she cared about. "What's the hardest part?" he asked. Lisa thought about it. "The rejection letters. I've sent out probably 50 applications in the past 3 weeks. Most companies don't even respond. The ones that do send these generic, 'Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to go with another candidate' emails." "That's brutal," Tom said. "It makes you start to doubt yourself," Lisa continued. "Like maybe I'm not as good at my job as I thought I was. Maybe there's something wrong with me that I can't see." Tom set down his coffee cup and leaned forward. "There's nothing wrong with you. The job market is just tough right now. It doesn't say anything about who you are as a person." "How do you know?" Lisa asked. "You don't really know me." "I know you're resourceful," Tom said. "Last night proved that. I know you're brave because you asked for help when you needed it. And I know you're thoughtful because you've always been kind to me in the hallway, even when you were dealing with all this stress." Lisa felt her eyes getting watery. She'd been holding in so much worry and fear for weeks. Having someone actually listen to her, someone who seemed to understand, felt like a huge relief. "I've been so scared," she admitted. "Not just about money, but about everything. What if I never find another job I like? What if I have to move back in with my parents? What if I'm just not cut out for the career I thought I wanted?" "Those are all normal fears," Tom said. "But you don't have to face them alone." "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe we can help each other out. You're looking for work and I'm trying to figure out how to be happy again. Maybe we're both better at solving other people's problems than our own." Lisa wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "You'd really want to help me?" "Of course," Tom said. "And maybe you could help me too. I've been stuck on the same chapter of my story for 2 weeks. Sometimes it helps to have someone else look at it with fresh eyes." "I'd love to help," Lisa said. "I actually used to write a lot in college. I always thought about trying to write more, but work kept me so busy." "See?" Tom said. "We both have things we can offer each other." Lisa smiled for the first time since she'd woken up. "I can't believe how different everything feels from last night. Yesterday I felt like I was drowning. Today I feel like maybe things might actually work out." "They will work out," Tom said confidently. "Maybe not exactly the way we planned, but they'll work out." Lisa stood up and folded the blankets neatly. Should we call the building manager now? I should probably get back to my apartment and start my day. Sure, Tom said. But Lisa? Yeah? Don't disappear on me, okay? I mean it about helping each other out. Lisa smiled. I won't disappear. Actually, would you maybe want to have dinner together sometime this week? I could cook something. It's the least I can do after you saved my life last night. You don't owe me anything, Tom said. But I'd love to have dinner with you. As they called the building manager and arranged for new keys, both Tom and Lisa felt something they hadn't felt in a long time. Hope, and the knowledge that they weren't facing their problems alone anymore. 3 days later, Lisa knocked on Tom's door again. But this time it was a gentle, normal knock, and she was holding a grocery bag full of ingredients for dinner. I hope you're hungry, she said when Tom opened the door. I may have bought enough food for 6 people. Tom laughed and let her in. His apartment looked different somehow. He'd cleaned up a bit, put away the dishes that had been sitting on his counter for days, and even bought some flowers for the kitchen table. It smells amazing in here already, Tom said, though Lisa hadn't started cooking yet. That's just the garlic bread I picked up from the bakery, Lisa said, unpacking her groceries. I thought we could have pasta with homemade sauce. Nothing fancy, but it's one of the few things I actually know how to cook well. Tom watched her move around his kitchen like she belonged there. She seemed different than she had 3 days ago. More relaxed, more like herself. Getting those new keys and talking through her problems seemed to have lifted a weight off her shoulders. How did the job interviews go this week? Tom asked. Better than I expected, Lisa said, pulling out a cutting board. I had 2 phone interviews yesterday. One of them wants to meet me in person next week. That's fantastic, Tom said. What changed? Lisa started chopping onions, thinking about her answer. Honestly, talking to you helped me realize I was being too hard on myself. I rewrote my cover letter to focus more on what I can do for companies, instead of apologizing for being unemployed. Smart change, Tom said. Can I help with anything? You can tell me about this story you've been stuck on, Lisa said. What's the problem with it? Tom pulled out his laptop and set it on the kitchen counter where Lisa could see it while she cooked. It's about this guy who thinks he knows what he wants from life. He has everything planned out, but then something unexpected happens that changes everything. What's the unexpected thing? Lisa asked, stirring the onions in the pan. His best friend dies in a car accident, and right before the funeral he finds out his friend was planning to propose to his girlfriend. The guy has to decide whether to tell the girlfriend about the ring or let her think his friend wasn't ready for that step. Lisa stopped stirring and looked at Tom. Wow, that's heavy. Yeah, maybe too heavy, Tom said. I can't figure out what the right choice is, so I can't figure out what my character should do. What do you think your character is really struggling with? Lisa asked. I mean, beneath the surface? Tom had never thought about it that way before. I guess he's struggling with whether it's better to protect someone from painful truth, or whether people deserve to know the truth even if it hurts. That's a really good question, Lisa said. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Tom was quiet for a long time. Lisa added tomatoes to the pan and let them cook while she waited for his answer. When my marriage was falling apart, Tom finally said, I knew Rachel was unhappy. I could see it every day. But I kept pretending everything was fine because I didn't want to face the truth that we were wrong for each other. What happened? She finally told me she wanted a divorce, and you know what? I was actually relieved. But I was also angry at myself for wasting 2 years pretending we could make it work when we both knew we couldn't. Lisa nodded, understanding. So, your character is really deciding whether to be honest about difficult things, or whether to protect people from pain. Exactly, Tom said. But I still don't know what the right answer is. Maybe that's the point, Lisa suggested. Maybe there isn't a right answer. Maybe the story is about how hard it is to make these kinds of decisions, not about making the perfect choice. Tom looked at her with surprise. You know, I think you're absolutely right. I've been trying to solve the problem instead of exploring it. Sometimes the best stories are the ones that ask questions instead of answering them, Lisa said, tasting the sauce. They worked together to finish making dinner, talking about Tom's story and Lisa's job search. It felt natural and comfortable, like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. When they sat down to eat, Lisa brought up something that had been on her mind. "Can I ask you something personal?" she said. "Sure," Tom said. "That night when I came to your door, you didn't hesitate to help me. You didn't ask a lot of questions or make me explain myself. You just took care of me." "Why?" Tom thought about it while he twirled pasta around his fork. "I guess because I know what it feels like to need help and not know how to ask for it." "But I did ask," Lisa said. "Sort of." "No, you didn't just ask. You were desperate. You were at the point where you had no choice but to trust someone. I've been there. Maybe not physically like you were, but emotionally." Lisa understood what he meant. "After my divorce," Tom continued, "I spent months thinking I had to handle everything by myself. I was so afraid of looking weak or needy that I just isolated myself completely." "Is that why you moved to this building?" Lisa asked. "Partly," Tom said. "I wanted a fresh start somewhere where nobody knew me as half of a couple. But then I realized I didn't know how to be just me anymore. I'd been part of Tom and Rachel for so long that I forgot who Tom was by himself. And now? Now I'm starting to remember," Tom said, smiling at her. "Having someone to talk to helps. Having someone who needs my help helps too." "I'm glad I can help," Lisa said. "Even if it's just by asking you questions about your story." "It's more than that," Tom said. "You make me feel useful again. When Rachel and I were together toward the end, I felt like I couldn't do anything right, like I was just in the way all the time." Lisa reached across the table and touched his hand. "That's not true. You're not in the way. You're exactly where you're supposed to be." They finished dinner and moved to the couch with cups of tea. Lisa curled up on one end and Tom sat on the other, both of them comfortable with the closeness. "I have a confession," Lisa said. "What's that?" "I used to watch you sometimes, through my window. I'd see you at your kitchen table typing on your laptop, and I always wondered what you were writing about. You looked so focused and peaceful." "That's funny," Tom said. "I used to see you leaving for work in the mornings. You always looked so confident and put together. I thought you had everything figured out." "We were both wrong about each other," Lisa said. "Maybe," Tom said. "Or maybe we were both right. Maybe you are confident and put together most of the time. And maybe I am focused and peaceful when I'm writing. People can be more than one thing." Lisa smiled. "You're pretty wise for someone who's been stuck on the same chapter for weeks." "Hey," Tom said, laughing. "I think I might actually finish that chapter now, thanks to you." As the evening went on, they talked about everything and nothing. Lisa told Tom about her childhood, growing up with 3 brothers who taught her to be tough and independent. Tom told Lisa about his dreams of writing a novel that would actually get published someday. "What's stopping you?" Lisa asked. "Fear, mostly," Tom admitted. "Fear that I'm not good enough. Fear that I'll spend years working on something that nobody will ever want to read." "But what if you are good enough?" Lisa said. "What if you write something that changes someone's life? What if I don't?" "Then at least you'll have tried," Lisa said. "And you'll have learned something about yourself in the process." Tom looked at her thoughtfully. "Is that what you're doing? With the job search, I mean? Learning something about yourself?" "I think so," Lisa said. "I'm learning that I'm stronger than I thought. And I'm learning that it's okay to ask for help sometimes." "It took real courage to knock on my door that night," Tom said. "It took real kindness to answer it," Lisa replied. As Lisa got ready to leave that evening, both of them felt like something important had shifted between them. They weren't just neighbors anymore. They weren't exactly friends yet either. They were something new, something that didn't have a name but felt right. "Same time next week?" Lisa asked as she gathered her things. "Definitely," Tom said. "And Lisa, thank you. For dinner, for helping me with my story, for everything. Thank you. For giving me a reason to cook for someone again," Lisa said. "I forgot how nice that feels." After she left, Tom sat down at his laptop and started writing. For the first time in weeks, the words came easily. He knew what his character was going to do, not because it was the right choice, but because it was the choice that would teach him the most about himself, just like the choice Tom had made when he opened his door 3 nights ago. 2 weeks had passed since that dinner at Tom's apartment, and their friendship had settled into a comfortable routine. Every Tuesday and Friday evening, they would meet for dinner. Sometimes Lisa cooked at Tom's place. Sometimes Tom would pick up takeout and bring it to Lisa's apartment. They had started taking walks around the neighborhood after dinner, talking about their days and their dreams. Lisa had her big job interview coming up on Friday, and she was nervous, really nervous. "I keep practicing my answers in the mirror," she told Tom as they walked through the small park near their building. "But what if they ask me something I haven't prepared for? What if I mess up?" "You're not going to mess up," Tom said confidently. "You know your stuff. You're smart, you're experienced, and you're exactly what any company would be lucky to have." "You have to say that," Lisa said. "You're my friend." "I'm saying it because it's true," Tom replied. "But if it makes you feel better, let's practice. Some more. What's the question you're most worried about?" Lisa thought about it as they sat down on a bench near the playground. A few kids were playing on the swings while their parents watched from nearby benches. "They always ask why I left my last job," Lisa said. "I never know how to explain being laid off without sounding like there was something wrong with my performance." "Okay, pretend I'm the interviewer," Tom said, turning to face her on the bench. "Lisa, can you tell me why you left your previous position?" Lisa took a deep breath. "Well, unfortunately, my company had to make some difficult budget decisions. They eliminated several positions, including mine. It wasn't performance-related, just a matter of cost-cutting during a tough financial period." "Good," Tom said. "But add something about what you learned or accomplished there. End on a positive note." Lisa nodded. "During my time there, I successfully managed 3 major marketing campaigns that increased customer engagement by 30%. I'm excited to bring that experience and those skills to a new company." "Perfect," Tom said. "See? You've got this." They continued their walk, with Tom asking Lisa practice questions and Lisa getting more confident with each answer. By the time they got back to their building, she was actually looking forward to the interview instead of dreading it. "Your turn," Lisa said as they stood in the lobby. "How's the writing going?" Tom's face lit up. "I finished that chapter we talked about, and I started a new one." "That's amazing," Lisa said. "What happens next in the story?" "The main character decides to tell the girlfriend about the ring," Tom explained. "But when he goes to give it to her, he realizes she already knows. She found it in her boyfriend's things when she was packing them up." "Oh, wow," Lisa said. "So what does she do?" "That's what I'm figuring out now," Tom said. "I think she's going to ask the main character to help her plan something special, like a memorial or something that honors what her boyfriend was planning to do." Lisa smiled. "I love that. It's like they're both healing by helping each other." "Exactly," Tom said. "Kind of like real life." The next morning, Tom was getting ready for work when he heard voices in the hallway. Loud voices. It sounded like someone was arguing. He opened his door and saw Mrs. Rodriguez from 2A talking to Lisa. Mrs. Rodriguez was an older woman who lived alone and usually kept to herself. She looked upset. "I'm sorry to bother you, dear," Mrs. Rodriguez was saying to Lisa. "But I didn't know who else to ask. My grandson usually helps me with my groceries, but he's out of town this week." "Of course I can help," Lisa said without hesitation. "When do you need to go?" "Well, I was hoping to go this morning, but my back is acting up something terrible. I can barely carry my purse, let alone grocery bags." Tom stepped into the hallway. "Hi, Mrs. Rodriguez, is everything okay?" "Oh, Tom," Lisa said. "Mrs. Rodriguez needs help with grocery shopping, but her back is bothering her." "I could go with you," Tom offered. "I don't have to be at work until this afternoon." Mrs. Rodriguez looked like she might cry with relief. "You two are so kind. I don't want to be a bother." "You're not a bother at all," Lisa said. "We're neighbors. This is what neighbors do." An hour later, Tom was pushing a grocery cart through the supermarket, while Lisa walked alongside Mrs. Rodriguez. helping her choose the items she needed. Mrs. Rodriguez moved slowly and had to stop to rest a few times, but she was grateful for the company. "I haven't been shopping with other people in such a long time," Mrs. Rodriguez said as they looked at different types of bread. "My late husband used to come with me every Saturday. We'd make it into a little adventure." "What kind of adventures did you have?" Lisa asked. Mrs. Rodriguez smiled, remembering. "He would try to sneak extra cookies or ice cream into the cart when he thought I wasn't looking. I always caught him, but I pretended not to notice. Life's too short not to have cookies." Tom and Lisa exchanged a look. They were both thinking the same thing. Mrs. Rodriguez seemed lonely. "Maybe we could make this a regular thing," Lisa suggested. "If you'd like the company, I mean." "Oh, I couldn't ask you to do that," Mrs. Rodriguez said. "You're not asking," Tom said. "We're offering. Besides, Lisa's great at finding the best deals, and I'm good at reaching things on high shelves." Mrs. Rodriguez laughed at that. Tom was quite tall, and she barely came up to his shoulder. After they got Mrs. Rodriguez home and helped her put away her groceries, she insisted on making them coffee and serving them some of the cookies Tom had secretly added to the cart. "No," she said as they sat in her cozy living room. "This building used to be more like a community. People knew each other, helped each other out. Somewhere along the way, everyone started keeping to themselves." "Maybe that's changing," Lisa said. "I hope so," Mrs. Rodriguez replied. "It's nice to have people to talk to." When Tom and Lisa left Mrs. Rodriguez's apartment, they both felt good about what they'd done. It hadn't been a big deal to them, just a couple of hours on a Saturday morning, but it had clearly meant a lot to their elderly neighbor. "I had no idea she was so lonely," Lisa said as they walked upstairs to their own floor. "I don't think most people realize how isolated some of their neighbors are," Tom said. "I know I didn't until recently." "Should we check on some of the other people in the building?" Lisa asked. "Maybe there are others who could use some help or just some company." Tom thought about it. "That's a really good idea, but we should be careful not to make people feel like we're intruding." "Right," Lisa agreed. "Maybe we could start small. Like if we see someone struggling with groceries or packages, we could offer to help." Over the next few days, Tom and Lisa started paying more attention to their neighbors. They helped Mr. Chen from the third floor carry his laundry to the basement when they saw him struggling with his cane. They offered to walk Mrs. Peterson's dog when she mentioned she'd been feeling under the weather. Word started to spread in the building that Tom and Lisa were people you could count on. Nothing big or dramatic, just small acts of kindness that made daily life a little easier for everyone. Lisa's job interview went amazingly well. She came home that Friday afternoon practically glowing with excitement. "They offered me the job," she told Tom when she knocked on his door. Right there in the interview. "They said they were impressed with my experience and my attitude." Tom picked her up and spun her around in a hug. "I knew it. I'm so proud of you." "I start Monday," Lisa said when he put her down. "It's perfect. Tom, the company is great, the people seem really nice, and it's actually a step up from my old job. We have to celebrate," Tom said. "Dinner somewhere special." "Actually," Lisa said, "I was thinking we could have a little party here in the building. Invite Mrs. Rodriguez, Mr. Chen, Mrs. Peterson. Make it a community thing." Tom smiled. "I love that idea. Our own little neighborhood celebration." They spent the weekend planning a small party in the building's community room, which hardly anyone ever used. They made simple snacks, bought some decorations, and invited everyone they'd gotten to know over the past few weeks. Not everyone came, but about 8 neighbors showed up, including some people Tom and Lisa had never really talked to before. Mrs. Rodriguez brought homemade empanadas. Mr. Chen shared stories about his grandson who was studying engineering. Mrs. Peterson's dog became the hit of the party, getting attention from everyone. "This is lovely," Mrs. Rodriguez said to Lisa. "The building feels alive again." "It feels like home," Lisa replied. As Tom looked around the room at all these people who had been strangers just a few weeks ago, he realized something important. The night Lisa had knocked on his door, desperate and cold, had started something bigger than either of them had imagined. They hadn't just helped each other, they'd helped create a community. And it all started with one simple act of kindness, on a cold, rainy night. 6 months later, winter had come around again. Tom was sitting at his kitchen table working on his laptop when he heard the familiar sound of rain against his windows. But this time, instead of feeling lonely, he smiled. He was putting the finishing touches on his novel, the story about the man who had to decide whether to tell his friend's girlfriend about the engagement ring. Tom had spent months working on it with Lisa's help and encouragement, and now it was finally done. His phone buzzed with a text message from Lisa. "Looking out my window at this rain and thinking about that crazy night 6 months ago. Can you believe how much has changed?" Tom looked out his own window and saw Lisa waving at him from her apartment across the courtyard. He waved back and texted her, "Come over, I have something to show you." A few minutes later, Lisa knocked on Tom's door. This time she was dry and warm, wearing a cozy sweater and holding a bottle of wine. "Celebrating something?" Tom asked, noticing the wine. "I got a promotion," Lisa said, grinning widely. "My boss called me into her office today and said I'm being promoted to senior marketing manager. I've only been there 6 months, but apparently I've impressed everyone." Tom hugged her tightly. "That's incredible. I'm so happy for you." "What did you want to show me?" Lisa asked as she hung up her coat. Tom pointed to his laptop screen. "I finished it. The novel. It's done." Lisa's eyes went wide. "Tom, that's amazing. When did you finish?" "About an hour ago," Tom said. "I wrote the last sentence and I just sat there staring at it. I couldn't believe it was actually complete." "How does it end?" Lisa asked, settling onto the couch. Tom sat down next to her. The girlfriend decides to use the engagement ring in a different way. Instead of keeping it or returning it, she has it made into a pendant. She wears it to remember her boyfriend, but also as a reminder that love doesn't end when someone dies. "That's beautiful," Lisa said softly. "And the main character learns that sometimes helping someone else heal is the best way to heal yourself," Tom continued. Lisa looked at him meaningfully. "Sounds like you learned something about that personally." "I did," Tom said. "I learned it from you." They sat quietly for a moment, both thinking about how much their lives had changed since that rainy night when Lisa had knocked on his door. "Do you remember what you said to me that first morning?" Lisa asked. "When I was so embarrassed about barging into your apartment?" "I told you that you did exactly what you needed to do," Tom said. "And you were right," Lisa said. "I was so focused on being embarrassed about asking for help that I almost missed the point. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is being forced to trust someone else." Tom nodded. "I spent so long after my divorce thinking I needed to figure everything out by myself. But helping you and letting you help me taught me that life is supposed to be shared." "Speaking of sharing," Lisa said, "Mrs. Rodriguez asked me to invite you to Sunday dinner this week. She's making her famous chicken and rice." Tom laughed. "She's been trying to fatten me up ever since that grocery shopping trip. She loves having people to cook for," Lisa said. "And Mr. Chen asked if you'd help him set up his new computer. His grandson sent him one, but he's afraid to touch it." "Of course," Tom said. "What about you? Any neighbor emergencies this week?" "Mrs. Peterson wants me to dog sit next weekend when she visits her sister," Lisa said. "And the new couple in 3C asked if I could show them around the neighborhood." Tom shook his head in amazement. "When did we become the building's unofficial welcome committee?" "I think it happened gradually," Lisa said. "One favor at a time." It was true. Over the past 6 months, Tom and Lisa had become the people everyone in their building turned to when they needed help. They didn't mind. In fact, they loved it. It felt good to be useful, to be part of something bigger than themselves. "I have an idea," Lisa said suddenly. "What if we organize something for the holidays, like a building-wide celebration?" "That sounds like a lot of work," Tom said. "But fun work," Lisa said. "We could ask everyone to contribute something, make it a real community event." Tom was already imagining it. Mrs. Rodriguez could make her empanadas, Mr. Chen could bring his famous dumplings, Mrs. Peterson could, well, she could bring her dog. Everyone would love it, Lisa said excitedly. And it would give people a chance to meet neighbors they haven't met yet. As they planned their holiday party idea, Tom realized something. He hadn't thought about his divorce, or felt lonely, or wondered what was missing from his life in weeks. Not because he'd forgotten about those things, but because his life had become full of other things. Good things. Meaningful things. Lisa, Tom said during a pause in their planning. Yeah? Thank you. For what? For walking into my apartment that night. For trusting me when you needed help. For letting me help you. For helping me. For everything. Lisa reached over and took his hand. You saved my life that night, you know. Not just from the cold, but from giving up on myself. You saved mine too, Tom said. I just didn't realize I needed saving until you showed me what it felt like to be needed again. They heard footsteps in the hallway outside, followed by voices. It sounded like Mrs. Rodriguez was helping someone new move into the building. Should we go see if they need help? Lisa asked. Tom was already getting up. Definitely. They opened Tom's door and saw Mrs. Rodriguez talking to a young woman who was struggling with a heavy box. Oh, perfect timing, Mrs. Rodriguez called out when she saw them. This is Rachel, our new neighbor in 4D. She's moving in tonight, and it's just her. The young woman looked tired and overwhelmed. Her hair was damp from the rain, and she seemed to be on the verge of tears. Hi, Rachel, Lisa said warmly. I'm Lisa, and this is Tom. We live right down the hall. Can we help you carry some things? Rachel looked so grateful she almost started crying. That would be amazing. I have so much stuff in my car, and it's pouring. Out there. No problem, Tom said. Let's get you moved in. For the next 2 hours, Tom, Lisa, Mrs. Rodriguez, and even Mr. Chen worked together to help Rachel move all her belongings into her new apartment. By the time they were done, Rachel's apartment looked like a home, and she looked like she might become the building's newest community member. I can't believe how kind everyone is here, Rachel said as they all stood in her living room admiring their work. In my last building, I lived there for 3 years and never talked to a single neighbor. This building is special, Mrs. Rodriguez said, smiling at Tom and Lisa. It wasn't always this way, but these two changed everything. How? Rachel asked. Tom and Lisa looked at each other and smiled. It's a long story, Lisa said. But it started on a night just like this one. Cold, rainy, and with someone who needed help. And someone who was willing to give it, Tom added. As everyone said goodnight and headed back to their own apartments, Tom and Lisa found themselves alone in the hallway. Feels familiar, doesn't it? Lisa said, looking at Tom's door. The best things that have happened to me started right here in this hallway, Tom said. Same here, Lisa said. Tom looked at the rain still coming down outside the hallway window. You know what I realized tonight? What? That night when you knocked on my door, you weren't just asking me to save you. You were giving me the chance to save myself. Lisa smiled. And now we get to pass that gift on to other people. Like Rachel, Tom said. Like Rachel, Lisa agreed. As they stood there in the hallway where their friendship had begun, both Tom and Lisa felt grateful for that cold, desperate night 6 months ago. It had been the worst night of Lisa's life and one of the loneliest nights of Tom's. But it had also been the beginning of everything good that came after. Sometimes the best chapters of your life start with the worst moments. Sometimes getting lost is the only way to find where you really belong. And sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply open your door when someone needs help. The rain continued to fall outside, but inside their building, everyone was warm, safe, and surrounded by people who cared about them. And it all started with one simple act of kindness on a night when someone needed it most.